The most dangerous advice I ever got about employment was when I was around 18 years old by a family friend, and they said, it doesn't matter what job you do, as long as you do something, and no matter what it pays, it's okay, as long as you're doing something. Now, on paper, this does sound like good advice, and I do understand why people think it and say it, but I'm going to explain to you how it can also be extremely dangerous. Now, I left school, I trained to be a chef, went to catering college. I knew within the first week I'd made a massive mistake and I absolutely hated it. Wanted to leave but got talked into staying. And every time I confided in someone that I wanted to leave at work, they'd say, well, I mean, your job's not really that bad. I mean, it could be worse. I mean, you earn just above minimum wage. It's not like you're on the lowest wage, and it's not really too bad. And if you leave, you might not like your new job. And it just took a few of these conversations to instill the fear of God into me, and then I'd panic and think, well, maybe I am wrong for wanting to better myself, and maybe I should just stick with what I've got. But deep down, I knew I was in the wrong job. It was making me miserable. It was, making me unhappy in every other aspect of my life. It was affecting my relationships, my friendships, my, relationship with my family. And, I get why, yes, it's probably better to have a temporary bad job than no job at all. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, no job is perfect. You're going to have days in any job where, you get fed up and people are going to piss you off and you're going to feel a bit unhappy in it. But when you absolutely hate your job, it will affect your whole life. Now, often people will make you feel bad for wanting to better yourself. So if you do want to change careers or change jobs, be very careful who you confide in and who you tell, because the amount of times I got talked out of things, the buck stops with me. It was my own fault, overall, because I listened to the wrong people, and it got to the point I was too scared to try anything else. But I got to the age of 27, I was on the verge of probably having a breakdown. I'd come out of a very bad relationship, I was broke, really unhappy in my job. I'd put on loads of weight and I just wasn't happy in myself, and I made a constant effort that I was going to leave catering once and for all, and I was never going to go back into it. Now, during the time, the 2-3 months I was looking for another job, I had people trying to talk me back in, to going back into catering. I'll just do it for a little while, and I said no, because I know what's going to happen. I'll go in, I'll get stuck, I'll get trapped. A year later, nothing will change. I've got to just keep trying, keep, persevering till I do get a job I want. And that's what I did. Eventually, I did get a better job. I changed careers, never looked back. But sometimes, when people think they're giving you good advice, it can actually be bad advice. And, if you are unhappy in your job, don't get me wrong, yes, like I said, sometimes a bad job, not a very well paid job is better than nothing at all. Of course it is, do it for a month or two just to tide you over. But, it's very easy to get stuck in a rut. It's very easy to get complacent, and then you get scared to leave because you've got to start over somewhere else, and you've got to get to know your work colleagues again. And the amount of people I know that chose the wrong career, but they stayed in it because either pressure from their parents, or they felt they couldn't leave, or they got married, had children, and then were stuck in it because obviously they had a mortgage to pay and they couldn't just walk out and change careers very easily. So yeah, although this does sound like good advice, believe me, it isn't, and if, you are unhappy in your job, there's a lot more ways of changing it now than there was, 20, 30 years ago. You've got online courses, there's a lot more options and help available than there was, when I was trying to get out of catering. So yeah, just be very careful who you take advice from, and, just, if you're not happy, then, you have to look at changing that, and be very careful who you ask for help.